All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Speak on It. I'm excited definitely about this episode. I'm your host Dom. You know, I got my two co-hosts. Y'all know Biv. Y'all know Taman. Today, Biv not even a co-host today. He a guest. So we're excited about that. Um, but without further ado, I'm gonna let them introduce ourselves, and then we're gonna do the house cleaning. Man, I'm super excited about this show. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Biv start it off. Go ahead, man. Biv, you know they know you, but they don't know this side of you.
Oh, Biv. Currently, I'm co-hosting, but today they want me on here to get my perspective because I do a little coaching. Coached JV basketball at Seaford High School, as well as middle school basketball, and I did a little bit of JV in high school this past year, as well. Did a little team management at Goldie Beacom um, while I was there with my man Derek Savage. So I'm gonna pass the torch to Derek Savage since I already brought him up and let him introduce himself.
Graduate of Cape Loma High School, class of 2004. Then went to Goldie Beacon College, D2 basketball program. Played 4 years there. Was able to obtain my bachelor's in business management. After college, was able to play some semi-pro in New Hampshire, Maryland. Was able to do a tour in Japan. Played overseas in the Middle East. Now a lot more focused on just youth enrichment. So a lot of things that we do now, we have the All In Sports Academy, which is basically a training academy from ages 7 to 16. Ideally, we want to get that to 17 by next year. And one of our themes is 7 to 17. And the idea is to instill in them the basic fundamentals and, the skills. And from my main thing is basketball, but it's going to be a multi-sport platform. We start them at 7, and if we can build them up and create good habits at 7, hopefully they won't have those bad habits by 17. So that's the idea, is to do from 7 to 17. I did do some coaching at Middletown for about 5 years, from 2009, 2014. Helped my man Lamar Shorts, the middle school program at Milford for a year before he took over the high school program. But majority of my joy comes from just training and coaching any kid that really wants to try to get better. So I'm not really locked in right now at a particular school, but try to have my hands a little bit everywhere. So I currently teach at Lake Forest High School, JDG, Jobs for Delaware Graduates Program, but all my passion, love, and time for the most part outside of that, other than church, is working with the youth. So Derek Savage.
Man, stop acting like you're not no Hall of Famer, man.
I was just waiting for that part. I'm like, you gotta put that part in there, bro.
Hey, we put it on the flyer and everything, man.
He wanted to be humble, man. That's what it
always
was.
trying to be humble all the time.
That title, man.
That was my background. That was my background.
That's part of it.
That's
can't leave that out. Biggest part.
The flyer says Hall of Famer, so we need some backing up of your Hall of Fame.
You should have introduced with that. Hey, I'm Derek Savage, the Hall of Famer.
Man, stop being humble, man. Humble, man.
In 2018, I was inducted into my school's Hall of Fame at Goldie Beacon College. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
That's about as good as we gonna get from you.
Man, you should have ran down your stats and everything. See, stop being like that.
I know, right?
I go pull them up, man. I gotta pull them up.
Man, see all that you put in, you know that by heart.
I'm Lamar Shorts, graduate for high school 2004. Walked on Liberty University, played there for a year. Transferred to Tennessee Brown College, played my last 2 years there, finished up. Got done there. I went overseas. I was in northern Greece for a little bit. Came back, did some semi-pro. Did semi-pro in Kentucky, DC, around the eastern side of the country. Did some travel ball, some comedy ball, some things with the Globetrotters. And then I eventually came back to Milford and decided to start to get back. So I came back and got my master's. I currently teach at the Milford Central Academy. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Working at LC, and I am going to my 3rd year of coaching for high school varsity basketball program. Kind of similar to what Derek was saying. I just kind of want to connect. I really do like to coach. I love development. I love interacting every day, with the kids, getting them while they're young, and really instilling into them the necessary things of life, but just living how life has always connected me to basketball. And honestly, that's where my love has come from, just seeing so many similarities between life and basketball itself. So I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
No doubt.
So I guess I'm the one that's not supposed to be humble, right? Since y'all too humble about what's up.
We set you up right nice too, Dre.
Right. Andre Matthews played at Seaford, won a high school championship at Seaford my sophomore year, graduated in '99. I was one of the top 100 players in the country for basketball. I was a top prospect for football as well. I ended up receiving a basketball scholarship at Delaware State. And I really chose that school because that was one of the only schools that was going to let me play both sports, because that was something I wanted to do. I actually had more love and passion for football, which a lot of people don't know, than basketball. I just put everything into basketball because I knew that was kind of my ticket. Played 4 years at Delaware State. I want to add this. One of my main focuses for going to Delaware State was to help change the program around. I had 2 goals in making it into the Hall of Fame, because when I went there, that was one of the worst programs in the MEAC when I started doing my research on it. They had been down for a few years when I went there. So my whole goal of going there was to help change that program around. My freshman year was probably one of the worst years I ever had playing basketball. We were on ESPN for the nation's longest losing streak at this time. Right next to Syracuse, who had the nation's longest winning streak. And out of that season, I really didn't think anything positive to come out of it, because I'd never been in that situation before. But I ended up winning Rookie of the Year for the conference. And some things that happened, and hold on, Jeremiah. Some things that happened, and a lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to share this with y'all while we on the podcast. I was ready to quit basketball and just focus on football, because our coach ended up getting fired 25 games into the season. I don't know if y'all heard about the little incident where they tried to say that the coach choked the player and all that stuff. It was all over the news and the media. All that was false. And I really thought about quitting basketball and just focusing on football 100%. But my best friend, Marty Bailey, who was at Dell State a year before me, told me not to do it. And kind of after that, the rest is history. I ended up being an all-conference player, ended up making it to the Black College All-Star game. We helped change the program around, and 2 years later, they ended up, after I graduated, they ended up going to the NCAAs and winning the conference. After I graduated in 2003, I played a little semi-pro ball, played 2 years in the USBL in Enid, Oklahoma, for the Oklahoma Storm. And I did 1 year in the D League in Roanoke, Virginia. After that, I came home, took a break, and picked up another agent probably a year later after I had my first son, and I went back out to try it again, and ended up in training, tearing my meniscus almost completely off. So I rehab it, get back to where I need to be. Took me about a year. 3 months later, I tear the same knee again. So it's pretty much a wrap after that. But in the meantime of doing that while I'm home, I get in contact back with Jeff Johnson, who's running a lot of our programs, who actually coached me as a young player. And that was probably one of the highlights of that was one of the highlights I've had because everything came full circle to me. You know, for a guy that was there and molded me and shaped me to get to where I'm at, and now I'm back helping him um, mentor kids and motivate kids and show kids from my area that it's possible if you put in the work. So I've been dealing with Jeff and working with the kids probably over 20 years now. I have a little bit of coaching experience. I coached at Seaford for half a year. I coached at Laurel for a season. I coached with Dwayne Coverdale at Postal Wake Middle School. And now I've been at assistant coach at Woodbridge High School for the last 2 years. And just like these guys, my focus is just developing kids, but it's more so the mental aspect of it, which a lot of these kids don't have. And building that up, not just on the court, but off the court as well. And since Derek don't want to talk about his Hall of Fame induction, I got inducted last year into Delaware State Hall of Fame.
Hey, listen, I'm Dom, man. You know, I'm a 2K legend. If y'all ever want to see me on the blacktop, I mean,
Spit your facts, man. Let them know.
Nah, y'all, but listen, that's great, man. I love that y'all are pouring back into the kids. Appreciate all y'all coming on and just doing the show with us. Tamar, do you have a question?
Yeah. So I've had the luxury of sharing the court with each and every one of these guys, even Dom. So one thing that I lacked was athleticism, and each one of you guys playing professional. And how would you say you developed the skill to where you could use your athleticism in the game, or how did you develop your athleticism? I should say.
And let's start with Mark. Or go ahead, Dre. Since Dre, go ahead, Dre. You start.
I start off. To be honest, when you play against the type of talent we play against at the college level, and you know, like the major AAU level and the professional level, some of it is about athleticism, but a lot of it's not. And I kind of compare my athleticism to my brother Gang, who was way more athletic than me. But the one thing I knew early on was if I could understand how to play this game, then that would give me an advantage. Because that's something my dad taught me early on, was understanding how to play the game, understanding footwork, understanding plays, understanding where to be, just those little things. And for me, I had to learn that because I played out of position, which everybody knows when you're from Delaware, you're from lower Delaware. If you're one of the taller people on the team, they're going to put you at center. Mm-hmm. So with me not developing and playing AAU ball and even playing college ball, I was still a center. So at that point, you know, being 6'3", 190 pounds, that ain't, yeah, athleticism don't mean nothing when you're going to get somebody 6'10", 280 pounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I think more so learning the game from what I've been through has been the key for me.
What's Savage? You
First, I guess how my athleticism was developed, honestly, the first part was genetics. My mom has some of the biggest calves I've ever seen in my life. And what they tell me, my pops used to jump out the gym too. So my initial athleticism came from genetics. It probably wasn't until my freshman year in college where I actually learned about building my athleticism. My senior year in high school, my high school coach, Dwight Tingle, he was a actual, he did competitive weightlifting in his early days. And he was young. He was only about 30 something, early 30s when he started coaching us. So he was still kind of in it. So he kind of had the boot camp vibe. So we kind of went through that as far as developing our body. So I understood the difference in how I was before my senior year and how I was after my senior year. But all of my knowledge was coming from him. I didn't really develop my own personal love of the weight room until probably my freshman year in college. And like Dre was saying, once you get to the college level, everyone in college is either the best player on a high school team or one of the best players on a high school team. So you have everybody somewhat athletic. They may not jump as high as you, but they might be faster than you. So once I got to college, I kind of learned and kind of saw what everybody else's strengths and weaknesses were and compared it to my own and kind of looked at it as, if that person can jump higher than me, I got to start working on my legs a little bit. That person faster than me, I got to work on my agility a little bit. So I kind of looked at where I was lacking and try to figure out how I can strengthen that from a physical standpoint. Of course, that comes with the mental too, but we'll talk about that later. But just strictly from a physical standpoint, I learned to love the weight room, and I learned that hills are your friend when you're done with it. So that was mine.
I got you. Go ahead, Mark.
So I'm still working on my athleticism now. Tamon obviously didn't read the scouting report, but I'm like, if I start this question off, this is gonna be a short answer. So, I mean, to be honest, I have, when it comes to athleticism, I would never ever declare myself as athletic. I don't think I was unathletic, but I definitely was nowhere near the likes of Derek or Dre. However, I started to kind of learn. It wasn't until I got to Liberty, my first year after high school, I walked on to the program there, and I saw the whole different world of weightlifting, strength training, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of started to kind of build myself to kind of what Derek was saying. I wanted to kind of develop my athleticism more. I could dunk, but like, it wasn't like I got bodies lined up like this. I was never that type of athletic. However, I was never going to allow my athleticism or my unathleticism to be a hindrance in my game. So my mindset kind of became to use the weight room to, build my body physically as much as I can. But I'm sure this will probably be mentioned several times throughout this podcast. But just as Derek and Dre said, like, it was always about what type of mental edge could I have. With whatever bit of athleticism I brought to the floor, to the court, I still was like, I'm gonna use it, but I am not gonna allow it to be an advantage, for my opponent or for the other team. I always want to try to kind of use my mental and put together my physical and, be as productive as I could. So, just as you go up in the levels, man, like, there are a lot of athletic guys, but you can win. If you're a smart enough basketball player, you will outdo them. You can neutralize that, honestly, on any level. And on any level. I won't even go into a whole bunch of examples. We can name guys in the NBA now that the athleticism is going to be neutralized by smart basketball players. But yeah.
Now, to piggyback off of that,
I'm about to tell you about my athleticism, man. Listen, I buy coins. And,
yeah, you wow, man. With the to piggyback off of that, from the coaching side, and I want to start with Coach Bivens. Do you see?
Before you do that, I got a question. I do got a question. I know you're gonna jump right to the coaching, but
no, I was going to just kind of segue, but you good, go.
So I heard like Moore and Dre talk about, like, cause he said Dre said he had to play center, like 6'3", 190, and then like Moore and Savage talked about how they started to develop or focus more on their athleticism in college. So in high school, on the high school level, did you rely more on your athleticism because you were probably just more athletic than everybody? And then you had to actually develop more athletically when you got to college because the talent was that much better, or was it a more of a mental approach to your game in high school, and then you was like, okay, I need to actually get more athletic in college because these dudes is really athletic.
I'll start with, for me, um, playing with Dwayne Coverdale and playing on like major AAU circuit, like that was different for me. That's when you really knew like where you're at. And like I remember playing against Donnell Harvey, who was number one player in the country. I remember playing against Lamar Johnson. I remember playing against Damian Wilkins, like those guys. Steve Blake, like guys that's in the league right now. And it really tests you to really stay on top of your game. So like going from March to April to May to June, July, and then you come back here and play high school ball, like it's no comparison. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when you come back here, you gotta. For me, it was like I had to keep that switch turned on because, and I think this is what a lot of our coaches don't understand now. If you're trying to go to the next level, your switch has to stay on because of where you're at. You know what I'm saying? So like Delaware ain't a big state, ain't no college coaches banging down nobody's door, to come see none of us play. So it was just like I had to keep that edge. But like in high school, I never worked out. I never hit the weight room. I just played ball all day. And I just picked up on little things that people would tell me, like, okay, Dre, you need to do this, or Dre, you need to do that. So as I'm playing, I'm doing these things. But like when I got to college, it was just like Derek said, it was a big culture shock because you go from being, one of the top players in the state, one of the top players in the country, you're the number one recruit coming in, and then you wondering why you only playing 10 minutes a game the first 5 games of the season. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm busting my behind, like what I got to do different. So that's when I really started to understand the work it really took. It's going to take to be successful in college because the work I put in high school didn't mean nothing once you get to that level. It's like you're starting from the bottom again. And the same thing with professional. You're starting from the bottom again. So I think the biggest thing for me was athleticism, and in high school I had it, but it was really me just outworking everybody. In college, you really had to really put in the work in the weight room, conditioning. Like it was no days off if you want to make it to the next level.
That's good. We'll go right down the line. You can go Savage.
Hey, Dre being humble too, man. It was genetics as well. So.
Yeah, you're right.
My path was it was a little different, but like Dre was saying in high school, we definitely playing at 4'5" in high school. I was a whole 6'2", 6'2" and a half. I was trying to get that 6'3". They weren't trying to give it to me, but I was only 6'2". I remember my sophomore year, I was 6'2", 160. So by my senior year, I might have been like 170, maybe something like that. But I was playing the 4 to 5 because I was more athletic. So the funny part about that, even though it is kind of it's a disadvantage in a sense when they only kind of put you or pigeonhole you in a situation where you're bigger or you're taller or you're more athletic. So we just gonna put you at the 5 because you in Lower Delaware. It definitely can pigeonhole you, but fortunately, I found a way to kind of use it to my advantage because I knew going to the next level, I was going to have to be a guard. So after my senior year, really that whole summer, everything was guard work. I mean, coming up how we came up, everybody played, everybody did a little bit of everything. So I already knew how to dribble, shoot a little bit, knew how to run a little bit. I did a little bit of everything. But my main thing was I ran and jumped. And because that was what I had advantage of in high school, for the most part, that's what I did. My senior year, my coach kind of, he noticed that I was going to be a guard going to college as well. So he tried to, instill a little bit more of a guard mentality in me because coming up, that's all they kind of put on me. But I was saying mine's a little bit different because I didn't play basketball for school until my junior year. My junior year is my first time playing organized basketball. Of course, prior to that, growing up, had big brothers, cousins, family, all that. We played every sport around all day, every day. So it wasn't like I just started playing basketball, but as far as organized, I didn't play until my junior year. So that first year was really me just running up and down the floor, running, jumping, and just being athletic. Fortunately, it worked enough for me where I was able to, be effective. But that was my whole mentality as a high schooler, was kind of run and jump. So transitioning to that college level, I kind of, how they were talking about earlier, I had to learn how to use my athleticism as an advantage, but not rely on it solely. Because once I got to college, like I said before, everybody to some degree is athletic. So for me, it was making that adjustment from this is a strength, this is my foundation, to this is just another asset to your game. So me making that transition mentally was kind of my big change, and what kind of helped me be successful from that part.
Cool.
Again, so I was different than these guys when it came to athleticism. But Don, man, that's a very good question, man. It's like a perfect question, especially for just the guests that you have on today. But yeah, so I was the opposite of those guys in high school. I wasn't the most athletic, but my dad was. Like Derek said, we played all the time. With our friends, cousins, brothers, uncles, dads, whatever. And you learn how to play the game. And my dad taught me a lot of just little stuff, holding people, like little stuff that you would do, where the ref wouldn't see. And so like I started center in my high school. I literally played center my whole high school career. My whole basketball career, that's terrible. Middle school and high school, I played all center. But anyway, like Dre and Derek said, like that's kind of what they do in Lower Delaware. If you're taller, like you're gonna be in the paint. But I was good with my body. I mean, I was good reading the ball. I was able to read I've always been a shooter, so I'm able to kind of see when people shoot the ball. I know if it's short, long, left, right, hard. Like I was very good offensive rebound. I always led my team in rebounding. Like I shot like 75% from like the field, like my whole high school career, because I worked around the paint. I was very good, had very good hands, so I could finish, and catch and finish shots, grab offensive rebounds, put them back, whatever. But like all of that was just based off of like kind of learning and knowing the game as much as like my dad had kind of taught me, and like my friends, stuff like that. Once I got to college, or literally like Derek said, we worked out, countless hours. We both knew coming from high school, being a center, that we were going to be guards in college. So our senior summer, like we spent hours and hours and hours. Just training, ball handling and guard stuff and all this kind of stuff. On the shooting gun there, spending time and thousands of shots, hearing all this kind of stuff, just trying to get your mind, get your body right to transition to college. And so it helped me out a lot to kind of move into do the same thing with my athleticism. I got to Liberty and I walked on, and it's a Division I program, and I see they have a whole separate coach for weight training and strength training. Like Derek said, his coach, Coach Tingle, like he was a head coach, but he also took him in the weight room. Like, like that's not typical where high schools around here. You're not going to have a separate coach and a separate weight trainer, so on and so forth. And I get to college and I'm like, we have a whole separate guy that's literally there for strength and weight training. And so I dumped into like the workouts, like the time, 4 a.m. in the morning, come back at 2, come back at 6 in the afternoon, in the evening, like just standing and putting the work in. And I kind of started developing my athleticism more because of what you just said. Like I knew going to the next level, I need to be more athletic to play at the next level. So for me, I kind of made my way through high school without so much athleticism, more or less just kind of knowing the game and knowing my way around, the basket. And then when I got to college, I started to kind of invest more in my athleticism.
I want to say my question.
Yeah, you know.
So each one of these guys right now are involved in the youth, right? And understanding, and they've watched the game of basketball Now, watching the younger generation, how it is today, do you see a difference in the attitude when someone is more athletic on the court versus someone that isn't?
Big difference.
I'm gonna start with hold on. I'm gonna start with Dwayne because we ain't seen his face all show.
You said is there a difference as far as the kid?
Like one of the things that the piggyback one what Dre said was like guys need to stay on in a sense, right? And you knowing like all of these guys pretty much knew that they were more athletic in high school. It was when there was a change in college. So in the middle school into high school, do you see a difference in the attitude when someone knows that they're more athletic versus the others? As far as
Most
like,
definitely.
okay,
Most definitely, kids is gonna still be kids. It was no different from when our generation, guys that know that they got it, they don't feel like they have to work, as hard as the next guy or as often. They feel like they can take a day off here, take a day off there. They don't want to get in the gym when the gym's available and different things like that. And it's not necessarily an all the time thing because there are kids that every time the gym's open, they're there, and sometimes they are the most athletic ones, and sometimes they are the ones that maybe not be as athletic, but they're sometimes the most skilled kids as well. And you hope that they can set the example for the other kids that they can come in. But kids are still gonna be kids. They're gonna find other things to try to get into. As far as the attitudes go, nowadays kids want to win more than they want to work. So if the grass is greener on the other side, they're gonna figure out a way to go and play over there for a coach that maybe not as hard, or go play where there's other guys that's gonna make the game a little bit more easier for them, a little more fun for them. So they don't always want to put in the extra work to make sure that they're gonna win, and that could be sometimes that's really the only thing that's separating uh, good kids from the kids that really don't want to work.
you can go
I,
ahead, Hall of Famer.
I think and I'm glad Biv is here to say that because I think for us three it's different because of where we've been. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a different respect I feel that it come with that compared to Biv. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not to say Biv don't know as much as we know because he could know as much as we know. But some kids don't respect that. You know what I'm saying? Because of how he gonna tell me how to get somewhere he's never been. And I think this generation is about seeing it before believing it. When our generation was, we believed it before we saw it. And I think that's the biggest thing with this generation now. And just like you said, the more athletic kids are happy with doing it here. And I think that's one of the biggest things that for me is when I had my youth program was to get the kids out and about and experience different things. So like I reached out to a couple of guys I went to college with. I took them to New York, for example, just to give them some different runs to understand like these guys are working all the time. Like to understand like they're not satisfied with just winning at home. They want to go different places and win and play. And to me, that's what I call it real AAU is all about. Not just putting the team together and just going to play in a tournament saying that you won. Are you at the places where the top college coaches are? Or even any college coaches that have a name and you can say, okay, you played in front of Coach K, you played in front of Calhoun, you know what I'm saying? You played in front of Gary Williams. You know, not many kids can say that. Or are you playing in front of Calipari? You know what I'm saying? So like for me, I always bring up a lot of what I've been through to them to try to get especially the more athletic kids to understand that. But me personally, I would rather work with that kid that's not athletic because, like Biv said, they're the ones that's going to give you everything they got. And they're the ones that's going to listen. They're the ones that's going to show up. They're the ones that's going to to do everything you ask them to do. And then I can use that, for me personally, I use that to the guy that's supposed to be quote unquote the man and say, okay, you're doing what you're doing, but this kid over here is out working. And for me, that motivates them to say, okay, I'm not going to let him now work. And that's pretty much how I use it for my set of kids. And even when I coach the youth, because Derek can attest to this, so can Mars, so can Biv. Our youth teams, you may have one good kid and you may have 4 kids that's never played basketball a day in their life. And the sad part is I see coaches out there with these kids, got them running plays and all that stuff. At, you know, I don't know, my son Mikey's 10 years old, at 10 years old, 9 years old. And the only thing I did with my 9 or 10-year-old team was I showed them how to play a 2-3 zone. I made sure they knew their coverage area. And you catch the ball, you shoot it. I don't care if you shoot 5 air balls, you keep shooting. Because my focus is to build up the confidence in that kid. So when we get him, like Derek said, when we get him up in age, he remembers that. And he remembers, okay, well, coach told me to keep going no matter what it looked like. So now we're not only teaching him basketball, we'll be teaching him life lessons too when he don't even know it. So those are some of the things that I utilize, especially with my younger kids and some of my older kids.
You can go ahead, Mr. Savage. We can keep it going in the same order.
As far as dealing with kids that are athletic and the mentality, you were saying earlier, it's definitely a difference. Like Bib was saying, they know at an early age what they have as an advantage, and most of the time, from middle to high school until about their junior year, for most of them rely on whatever they're good at. You know, if a kid is more athletic than another, they're gonna try to outrun or outpower or whatever. They're gonna try to use whatever it is to their advantage. And most of the time, the ones who have that, unfortunately, aren't the hardest working, which is it kills me every time I think about it, because I'm like, listen, man, there's 2 parts to it. If you can put both of them together, you'll be that guy. But like Dre was saying, a lot of times the ones that lack the athleticism understand, all right, I got to work harder than that kid because I already know he's more athletic than me. And then the one that's athletic is like, I'm already athletic than him, so I ain't got to work as hard as he do. I just outrun and out jump him. I'm already faster than him, even though he's working hard. But what they don't understand is over time, that one player that's consistently putting in that work, when it come crunch time, when it come that 10th, 11th, 12th grade year, they physicality done caught up with you. But they also got that ball handling. They also can shoot that 15 to 20 footer. They also know how to finish with their right and their left hand. And you still out here trying to outrun and out jump them. They just say, you know what, I'm just gonna box you out, dog. I ain't gonna jump higher than you. I'm just gonna box you out. You stuck. And as a player that grew up and who was naturally more athletic for the most part of my younger life, I was naturally just faster and ran faster and jumped higher than a lot of kids my age. One of the most important things I learned how to do was box out. Like, and that came from Coach Tingle my senior year in high school. Like, I knew about boxing out before, and I would do it sometimes I wouldn't. But of course, I was still able to get away with running and jumping. I just out jump people. But my senior year, it was implemented in me to box out. And when I learned the importance of boxing out, I realized my athleticism, again, it's an asset. It's not my foundation. Because if I just box out, I ain't even got to jump for this rebound now. I just got to step to the ball. So I can take out about 10 to 15 plays where me using my energy to run and jump, all right, I take those out. I still got that in my pocket later on. So now when it comes to that fourth quarter, or it comes to those last 2 minutes where we need that rebound, I'm still going to box you out. But if we got to go up and get it, I still got my energy. And 9 times out of 10, it don't matter who in this gym, if we both run and jump, I already believe I'm going to get that ball. So that was something that, as a player, I had to learn. So kids with that mentality, like Bill was saying, kids gonna be kids, man. When they know they can do something easier than somebody else, they gonna more time than not take that easy route. So transitioning into coaching, I use that experience now, and I do it early. When I see kids that are in 7th, 8th grade, and I know that they are more athletic or just more naturally talented than others, I always challenge them. And most of the times I'll take that kid, like Dre was saying, that isn't as athletic, but it has been working on something. Whatever they're working on, if I know they work on their ball handling all the time, I'm going to get them and use them for a ball handling drill. And I'm going to talk trash to the one that's athletic but can't really handle it right. And I put them on the spot right then and there. So when that kid that's not as athletic as him, so he think he's better than him, he coming out here and he doing this drill real simple because he's been working on it for the last year. And the kid that's more athletic or more talented go out there and stumbling and bumbling, it's like, oh, everything's not perfect. So I try to push them that way. One of those small things I try to implement in them early, like that hard work. And like Dre said, you teach them that life skill early. Like it really don't matter how talented you are. If you learn how to put in that consistent work, you're gonna get out what you put in. So that's one of the little things I try to implement in them as kids. And that helps me from being a kid that was athletic and understanding, like boxing out, I could have saved probably 5 years of pressure and pounding on my knees from just boxing out if I learned that earlier. I still remember that to this day. So that's something I try to implement in those kids to help them along the way.
Yeah, so I was probably one of the best rebounders that I've ever met because I was unathletic. So I kind of, from an early age, like I learned to use my body, I learned to box out.
Wait a minute, did he just take away his humble card? He said that he was the best rebounder that he met.
Yo,
I
was thinking the same thing. Like,
come out of that shell, man. Stop acting like that.
So it begins.
No, but it's crazy because you guys are pretty much like said everything. But one of the craziest things like that has not been mentioned is Tamai, you talked about the mindset of a kid that's really athletic. Like, and honestly, like, and I use Derek as an example. Like he mentioned it. He's always relied on his athleticism from the moment that he realized that he was naturally athletic. And a big part of that was because of guys like me. Like we gave him like all the props. Like you got all the love. Like you could dunk, you could jump real high, whatever. And so when that happens, like if your close friends or your people are the ones that's giving you props for your athleticism, what's going to push you to work on more of your game? And I think that translates more. It's probably even worse today because thankfully, like me and Derek, we did become mature enough to understand like athleticism isn't going to cut it. Like we got to be able to dribble, we got to be able to shoot. Like Dre said, you got to be able to like know the game, understand the game. Like we were smart enough to understand that, and we started to push each other. But a lot of kids today, like you got one kid that dunks, everybody on the team is going to accept that. Like, oh man, cool. We don't got to worry about him shooting no threes. We don't care if he can't dribble. We don't care if he can't play no defense. As long as he can dunk, yo, coach, put him in so he can dunk. Yo, coach, let's throw him a oop. Like, because of that athleticism, like not only the actual individual, but the peers. Like the peers are like in love with it, and we know it's the Snapchat, YouTube / all that kind of era. Like if you get something on there, you're gonna get views and likes and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, why would I work on my shooting? Why would I work on my handles? So I think that's one of the biggest reasons that the mindset is different. Like these guys said, obviously I would choose, probably a kid that's more unathletic because I knew I had to work on sheer effort. And then try to also challenge the kid that is more athletic for hopefully to help them understand, like, you can't live on just that. Like, you have to know how to use your body. You got to know how to, and it's so bad because you don't, like, a lot of times we don't have people on our teams, or we don't have players on our teams that are smart enough to go against that athletic person and let them see that your athleticism ain't gonna cut it. Like, it's like everybody else on the team, it's like you gotta go out there and do it yourself. And if you don't, that athletic individual will kill. Like, and it's because everybody's so mesmerized and amazed by the athletic ability, like they will assume this kid is a baller. But I'm like, just because you can dunk doesn't mean that you're, a ball player, you know what I mean? But a lot of times, man, with the kids we coach, like if we can, obviously get the effort, but get the full game building mentality into them, that's always going to help. They may not understand it now at high school level, middle school level, elementary level, like they may not understand it, but thankfully we've been fortunate, to reach some places, and we know like you have to be more than just that, like than one dimensional. Depending on where you want to go, what you want to do, like whether it's just a straight shooter, whether it's a straight ball handler, whether it's a straight jumper, like you have to be more than just one dimensional.
All right, I got a question right quick for the coaches. How many of your kids that you coach even talks about going to the next level to play college ball?
Like a percentage?
Yeah.
I would say, so let's just say I got 10 kids. I would say probably 50% that actually like talk about it. Now, the actual legit mindset and wanting to put in the work, like that might be a little different. But to actually talk about and answer a question, for me, I would say probably 50%, give or take.
I would say about 20. Overall, that realistically talk about it. For me, for the ones that I've dealt with, I talk about it more than them. But like realistically, you know what? I guess I can go. Yeah, I agree with what you said, because more I'm talking about it, but realistically, once it's like, okay, I know I got to do something to get there. Probably about 10-20%, but probably about 50%. Yeah.
Hey, I coached one time. I can answer this too. I would say about 50%.
About 52, yeah.
Thanks for your expertise. Yeah.
I would agree. I would say somewhere probably around about 50% of the kids actually talk about it. As far as going to college, everybody has that NBA dream, but as far as actually college, I would say probably about 50%.
Like think about us. I'm what I'm saying, Derek, Mar, and I think about this all the time. Like, where's the disconnect? You know what I'm saying? As far as when we were growing up, like we had that goal of playing at the next level and we went after it. But like, where is that person? Think about all the people that pushed you to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, why don't we still have those people around? For this generation?
I'm gonna say this because I'm glad you brought that up. When y'all was talking about it, made me think of like how AAU is now, or even like how the NBA is now. Like everybody wants to be friends with everybody, and there's nobody that wants to push you to get to that next level. Like I'm pretty sure, like with Savage and Moore, y'all friends, y'all grew up together, but y'all wanted to go at each other, right? Y'all wanted to be, get the best of one another. Then I'm gonna talk trash to you, but then we're gonna be boys afterwards. You know what I mean? I feel like now that everybody's playing AAU, everybody wants to highlight reels, everybody wants to be on ESPN, everybody wants to, like y'all said, I want to get to the NBA, but I don't want to put in the work, or I don't have people around me to push me to put in that work to get there. So that's just my 2 cents on it, just looking at it from outside looking in. It's just a more of a I want to be your friend type basketball now than it is I want to go out there, I want to kill you, and we could be friends afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like I feel like everybody has their own agenda. I feel like AAU coaches are trying to build a reputation and trying to, build their own thing. I feel like high school coaches are trying to build their own reputation and build their own careers. And I feel like nobody is actually invested in the future of the children because everybody has their own agenda.
And Dre, to answer your question, man, I honestly think you said probably the most important statement in regards to this generation today. You said it earlier. I have said this several times before, and I feel this way now. And until I see different, I probably will continue to feel this way, man. You asked where's the disconnect? Like this generation, man, they are a see it. Like they're see it before believe it. So like, the resume you have, Derek, the resume you have, I know the resume I have, and we're blessed to coach. But we can tell these kids all day till we blow in the face, like where we've been, what we did, what we played, but they have not seen it. Even if they see some tape, it's still not the same as, them being able to see Zion, or that was a million views. Like it's not. They have to see us if we're going to be with them every day, coaching them in their ear, giving them directives, giving them instruction. It's almost like they have to have seen or have to see us do what we're telling them about for them to fully like commit and or fully like believe, like you said earlier. Like, whereas for us, like I don't know a lot of people that, like you said, like I don't know a lot of people that I kind of needed to see first before I started believing, like, okay, I'm gonna play at the next level. Like all I needed to see was the next day, and I was up at it. Like I saw that sun come up. Okay, I'm at, like Derek said, I'm at this hill. I'm at these weight rooms, like whatever. Like that's what I needed to see. That was me believing. But for generation today, man, Dre, like I think they need to see it. Like I know what I bring to the table. I know what Derek, I know what you bring. Just as players, what our career have been. Like I will listen to y'all. I have listened. I still do, but I will listen to y'all any day because I know. But these other kids, like they have not seen. Like they haven't seen it. And I think that's a really big factor for generations today. And that's not even just basketball. That's across the board, man. That's life, man. That's young fatherhood. Like, I mean, you can tell these kids about stuff, you know what I mean? And it's like if they haven't seen or whatever, it's like okay, I hear you, OG, whatever. But then they go out and unfortunately make some mistakes. But I think you said earlier, man, it's just this generation. They are a see it type of generation.
The piggyback off of what you guys are saying, I mean, it's with the technology and how it is now, you see everything is handed to you. And it's pretty much everything is for a look, for a shot, or to go viral or something like that. It's the culture versus where I just think in my graduating in 02, like when we didn't have social media. I mean, we had AIM, instant messenger. But for the most part, like it was about actually searching out who was that guy. You know what I mean? Like we seen it in the magazines, we seen it, you know what I mean, with little tapes here and there. And for us being in lower Delaware, we had the experience of having Slam Dunk to the Beat, where we actually seen these guys that we seen maybe glimpses of on ESPN or hear stories about, and we actually see them in person. And the mentality of like kind of what Don was saying, to be friends, it's not like I want to go at you. It's like we cool, you know what I mean? Like that to me is a culture disconnect. And I mean, when it comes to sports, it's almost lost the grit in a sense of the passion of actually wanting to. You just want to win. You just want to look good versus putting in the work and actually playing all over the place, playing against whoever. You know what I mean? To see how you can better your game. I think that attitude is gone with this culture, in my opinion, and that just ties in with the AAU. So I mean, if you piggyback as far as coaches wanting to build their name and not really having to care for the kids, and the kids not really having to care as far as having culture, they just want to get to rankings and whatever the case may be. I mean, it's lost.
But Savage,
So
I'll let you answer it. Then I got a question to piggyback off of that.
Okay. As far as AAU, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But just kind of in general, what y'all was saying, it's different levels to it, and if players and coaches and parents don't understand the different levels, it's always going to be reckless. Like it's kind of my 2 cents on that. Like I said, it's deeper than that, but that's my 2 cents. But as far as the disconnect, I've talked to Mar about this a bunch of times, but I call this generation the social media era. Like I remember as a freshman in college, I was 04, 05, like Facebook had just came out not too long before that, where it was only for schools. Like you had to be in a college in order to be on Facebook. Like it was a site to connect college students. Like that's how it started. So if you go from that's 16 years. So if you go from that to now to where social media is, like there's literally something new almost every day. And I think that plays a very big part in it because of, if you think of a 16-year-old now, they don't know what it is to not have a phone in their hands or to not be on social media. Like, that's literally how they grew up. So that competitiveness is different. I still believe not still believe, but there are still some dogs in this era, but it's like they're few and far in between. And I think that disconnect comes from the playground. Wherever your playground was, wherever your hood courts was at, like, that's where you were at. So for us growing up, I literally remember over the summer, like, we literally woke up and said, yo, what we doing today? Like, where we hooping? Like, we woke up and said, didn't have a car to save our life. I still don't know how we got around to so many different places, dude. Like, between 15 to 20 of us, we might have one, maybe two vehicles, but somehow we found a way to get places. But if you wanted to be able to do anything, as far as any kind of sports or just gaining any kind of notoriety in general, you had to go and run your own hood's course. Like, and when you went out there, there was people from 7 to 40 out there. Like, you got the high school cats, you got cats at colleges coming home, many of them, but cats in college going home, cats that worked at 9 to 5, just got off. They coming out there in their boots and their jeans and still out here backing you down from half court. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you had, like, that was how we grew up. And then outside of that, I had my big brothers, my cousins, my neighborhood people. Like, at 14, I wish I could have stepped on the court and be like, yo, I got my 5. Like, I wish I could have done that. Like, when you stepped on, anywhere you went, it was always, even if they weren't necessarily better than you, like, as talent-wise, 14 and 18, that's a very big difference physically. So 18-year-old could bully me, and there's nothing I could do about it except fight back. Then you got your grown men who, like I said, they work a 9 to 5, get off work, come out there, and yo, I got next. And what am I gonna say at 14? Like, no, you don't. Like, he would trash me. Like, and I knew that. Like, I'm not gonna try to act tougher than what I am. Like, no, you're a grown man. Like, you say you got next. All right, I got next after you then. Like, and if he say no, I don't, I'm like, all right, well, I gotta wait till the next one. And then hopefully by the time he leave, I can get a rep. You know what I'm saying? But it might be 7 o'clock by then. Hey, I'm gonna get my rep. But what I learned was all I had to do was figure out a way to get on the court and show him, like, yo, I can compete with y'all. I can play with y'all. You know what I'm saying? So that mentality is different because now, again, like I said before, it's so much more access to it's like a double-edged sword. Because we grew up and we knew that we could rarely get in the gym, now we try to do as much as we can to help these kids get in the gyms. But the other part of that is some of them start to think now, if I can't get in the gym, then I ain't moving outside. Like, outside, what you mean? You know what I mean? And that's kind of how we grew up. Like, we started outside, and if we can get in the gym, that's a bonus. So, one, you had to learn how to you had to win where you were at first. Then after you win where you at, then I can go to Dover, I can go to Seaford, I can go wherever, and I'm taking my guys from where I'm at, and now let's go compete here. So even in a small little lower Delaware, it's like I didn't know about anybody from Seaford unless I seen them or somebody, you know what I mean, you hear about them. In order for me to hear about you, you got to be doing something. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't killing where you from, I'm not even gonna hear about you. Now, I'm gonna put my phone up just like this, I'm gonna record myself, and I'm gonna send it out to 1 million people. So my 2-minute YouTube that I did 45 times before I got it right and posted it, all you see is the finished product. But it's somebody on the other side of that camera like, yo, that boy nice. They don't know it took me 32 times to do this one move. You know what I'm saying? So if I step on a court and try to do that one move, and somebody's playing defense and they pump me 5 times, now I really see, yo, you really ain't like that. Your video said you were, but you're not. So that's another disconnect, whereas they have the ability to put it out there and get that feedback. Now they're getting that positive feedback, which is great, but if you're getting positive feedback for something that ain't real, you have a false sense of confidence. So I think that disconnect comes from, one, just the upbringing, that social media era, it just is what it is. 2, that competitive level is just different. Like it's different. You had to be a dog to just even step on the floor. And then even like I'll use Upward Bound as an example as well. Like when I went to Upward Bound, that's how I met a lot of different people from different areas. If I never went to Upward Bound, I wouldn't have known a lot of them. But going there, you wanted to be that guy to say, yo, I'm from Lincoln, I'm from Cape. Oh, you from Woodbridge? All right, let me see if you better than me, because I know some cats from Cape and I'm from Cape. If you can't dog me, I ain't got no respect for you. Like, I want Cape to be represented as much as you want Woodbridge to be represented. So when we meet up, like, it's we try to dog each other. When we done, I'm like, all right, you still cool? Like, you know what I'm saying? I like Jordan, you like Jordan, all right, we still cool. But when I see you on that floor, it's Cape across my chest, or it's Lincoln or Slaughter Neck across my chest. Like, that's what I'm fighting for. Now it's like, before I even meet you, I done seen 52 videos of you. Oh snap, he can shoot. So when I see you, it's like, oh, what's up, man? I saw your video, dog. You got a nice jump. Man, I don't care about nothing about that, dog. Like, my jump better than yours, man. Like, but that's just the difference in the mentality, and I think that's
Not better than mine.
All respect. I'm gonna give you 30, but but
we're not gonna go back and forth. That's the one thing that I do have. That's the one thing I do have.
Respect. But I believe that's the big disconnect, and I think that I hate to say it, but running your own courts, like, I think that's the biggest disconnect for me that I've seen from our generation to this generation now. It's so much easier to be accepted for doing less. So I think that's the biggest disconnect as I wrap that all up.
Nah, that's good. Listen, I ain't even asked my question. That's one of the things I was going to ask y'all about is like, the difference is when you were in the streets, playing on the playgrounds, playing on the blacktops. That's where I think you got a lot of your you got connected to the older people, because they was out there putting in that work too. And then once you got on the court and you showed them what you can do, that's when you earned your respect. You had to earn your respect. You had to earn your stripes. And that started in the blacktops. That started, you know what I mean? That didn't start in the gym. That started out, you know what I mean, on the courts, on the blacktops, and showing that you can put in work. I think now, I watched the video the other day. Gilly was out there, old head, Gilly the kid, out there trying to play with some of the young people on the court, and they're like, nah, I'm just out here just working. I'm just out here just working on my shots, or I'm out here just, you know what I mean, just working on my moves. To the point where when I grew up, when we all grew up, I wanted to play. I just wanted to go out there and play on the blacktop. I just wanted to go out there. I don't care who was out there. I don't care how old you were. I just wanted to go out there and compete. And nowadays, and I want to compete. Listen, if I wasn't my boy was on the court, I wanted to compete against him. I wanted to go out there and destroy him, because that's bragging rights in your own clique. That's bragging rights in your own crew. So if he go out there, he dog me, man, I'm here until, listen, I ain't leaving until I get one. We ain't leaving until I get one. So
you hear that in the car ride home, B, all day.
Right. So now it's like, I don't want to go. Nah, that's my boy. You know what I mean? We take it easy when I'm taking it easy on my boy. You know what I mean? Or I want to hype my boy up. Man, I want to hype you up when you playing against somebody else. But when you playing against me, I'm trying to tear you down. I'm talking as much trash to you as I can. I'm trying to destroy you. And I don't think that's the case now. With this generation, they don't respect the old heads. They don't respect the game, the resume, or what you've been through. And then they just, because they're not out there on the blacktops with us. They're not out there on the blacktops putting in the work to show, so we can show them, listen, we got game. I might not be as athletic as you, but I'm gonna teach you some moves. You know what I mean, you ain't gonna just get over on me on just off athleticism in and of itself. And I think another thing is, we talk about what we see. They see it on TV. Everybody's friends in the NBA. Everybody's friends. ain't no, you ain't really out there going at each other. Like, LeBron got handshakes for, I think, all 32 teams in the NBA. He got handshakes for all of them. So, like, it ain't you ain't out there just trying to kill everybody. You out here shaking up everybody. Got secret handshakes for everybody. I'm giving you my jersey before the game. Like, they aren't out there destroying everybody. They ain't out there destroying everybody like when we grew up in that era. Like Kobe, I hated Kobe. I know why I hated Kobe, because he was killing my team. He wasn't out there shaking hands. He was out there trying to destroy my team. Right? Now, they out there with friends with everybody.
Ain't no try, he did.
He did. He killed my team.
I put my 2 cents in. When when I was coming up, I wasn't the most athletic, and I had a problem with like each one of you guys. I was the tallest one, so I played the five. And I've said this on this show. I hated playing the five because I was like, I want to shoot. I want to step out. You know what I mean? Um, and the one thing just from playing with each one of you guys is I knew that I wasn't athletic, so the one thing that I'd use is my IQ. And I've said on this show that I'm a nerd, and I've been a basketball nerd since I was 5 years old. My dad introduced me to the game, and I've been watching NBA. So statistics, I knew all that. Jordan fan, studied that. Wanted to be 6'6", just like Jordan. 198. I was probably like a good 50, 60 pounds over that, but nonetheless, um, I did reach about 6'5 3/4. That was well after my prime days, but nonetheless, the one thing that I know that I tried to use was IQ, and I knew that I could shoot. Like I said that with Derek, just joking with him, I knew that I could shoot, so I would always use my positioning as far as getting in the right position, as far as getting the shot that I wanted to get, right? Whether it be a wide open shot, we coming down on a break, I'm a lag off a little bit so you can throw it out to me. One of the things that I talk about with Wayne is Wayne love that corner three, boy. Yo, he always uses IQ to be right in that same spot. If you're driving and Wayne is on your team, he is in one of them daggone corners and ready to knock it down.
Goldie days, baby.
See, and Derek know too.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things I wanted to ask is that to get away from athleticism and more on IQ. How important do you think IQ is? Well, let's just say because that's a not even a touchy subject. Well, when you're talking about IQ and we're talking about basketball, what exactly when you hear that term, what do you think? We can go right down the line.
For me, IQ is understanding how the game of basketball is supposed to be played. For me, it's important because it's only one basketball, but it's 10 guys on the court. So you have to know what you can do, what you're supposed to be doing when the basketball is not in your hand. It's easy to understand what you're supposed to be doing when it's in your hand, but what are you supposed to do when the ball's not in your hand? Learning how to space the floor, learning how to move without the basketball is an art. And defensively, communication and knowing where you're supposed to be defensively, that is probably the biggest thing. Defensive rotation, that's IQ. Knowing that where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, without being told, again, without having the basketball in your hand. Like, and to me, that is the biggest thing that's killing the game of basketball really at all levels is the IQ or lack thereof.
Um, when I think about IQ, I go deeper in depth of it. Um, Only because it was taught to me at a younger age. And once I started playing and understanding it, just like Derek and I was saying, when you go to the court, you play against a lot of the older guys. A lot of those older guys will teach you little tricks, just like Mars said, holding and grabbing and doing little things that the ref don't see and all of that. That's part of IQ too, because you got to understand what you can and can't do yourself. But when it really started to evolve for me was how can I use my IQ to get the best out of the other four players on my team? So I used to test myself. I used to go play with four great players, and then I go play with four bums just to see if I could win, just see different ways I can put them in position to understand, first of all, their strengths, their weaknesses, how I need to talk to them, how I need to motivate them. Just like this said, if anybody who knows me, I'm talking the whole game. Whether it's talking trash or telling you where you need to be, I'm talking the whole game. And once again, that's something I learned from my dad, because every time I seen him play, he would never shut up either. And when I get to college, coach said the same thing. If you're in a quiet gym, then there's no need to being in the gym. You know what I'm saying? So at this level that I'm at now, that's pretty much all I do is study the game. And, my favorite player is LeBron. And it's not because he's the most athletic or he's in his 17th year. It's because of his basketball IQ. So if I watch him, for example, and this is why I say I'm on a different level as far as IQ. If I watch LeBron do something on the court, I'm going to go back 3 or 4 plays before that because I want to see what he saw before then, because everybody knows LeBron plays chess, not checkers. So he already predetermined 3 plays ago that if this came up again, this is the move I'm going to make. So when I study film now on different NBA players, that's what I study. So now when I'm on the court, it's making me look better than what I really am. You know what I'm saying? So, like, example, me and Derek played a couple weeks ago. I love playing with Derek because our IQ are the same. So, and that's probably the first time we've ever played together that I can remember. A couple of weeks ago, where we're actually on the same team at a tournament, and we made it look easy only because of our IQ. It was both of us are totally out of shape. We probably ain't played ball in forever. You know what I'm saying? But it was just understanding the little things about that and how to get the best out of each other and how to get the best out of our teammates and how to use trash talk, to get kids out of people out of their game. Just little things that you pick up on when you're learning and growing your IQ. So that's why I said for me, it's deeper than just that, because I wanna be that person that can affect the game without even shooting the shot. And that's what I take more pride in, even playing now at 39, because they think because we out of shape or we ain't played in a while, like we still can't do it. And there's times where you go out there and you just have a flashback just because of your competitive juices just get jumping because somebody talk trash to you. And that's what it does for me now, because I have no reason to go out and play just to play anymore. I play now to show the younger kids how to play the game. So that game I was talking about between me and Derek, we played that Dover team. And I hadn't done nothing in 3 games. And they thought like I was just going to chill. And what people don't know is straight at the jump ball, Six said something to me. Straight at the jump ball. And anybody who knows me know when you say the wrong thing, I'm just going to go off. Like, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I went off. And I'm explaining to JA, Jordan now, and after the game, why he lost the game. And this is what I do now, and I think this is making me more effective, is while I'm on the court, I'm talking to the young players, telling them, okay, this is what you need to do. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. And then after the game, I'm explaining to him why we just beat y'all by double figures. You know what I'm saying? Because, and what I told him was, I said, you got too many people on the team that respect you. And I said, who on our team could stop you? He said, nobody. I said, we knew that. Me and Derek knew that. We weren't going to tell you that. But if you're not going to get your teammate involved where we have to respect everybody to where the floor opens up so you can do what you want to do, I said, that's how you lost the game. I told you at the beginning of the game, I said, you're either going to shoot him in or shoot him out. And he had no clue what I was talking about until I explained it to him after the game. So I think as far as me, like that's my avenue to get to those better players and those younger players is to still play. Because like we were talking about earlier, they have to see you do it to believe that you still can do it. And if they don't see us still do it, then it's just like, oh yeah, well I heard you used to do that, and I heard you used to do this. No, I'm still gonna do it now. And then I'm gonna talk trash to you while I do it, and then I'm gonna explain to you how I did it after the game. So that's kind of like my philosophy now.
Hey, can I interject for one moment? So what is funny about this is that me and Lamar had a conversation, right? And we were just talking basketball. And he was like, yo, what was Dre like in high school? Like, what was, and I said, yo, I compared Dre to LeBron. And the reason why I say that is because he was the floor general from moment to moment. You had to be where Dre said, otherwise you're not in the right spot. And I seen that from Chandler Heights all through school, like he said, all through like, and even now. And like, it's funny that he said that I didn't know that Dre's favorite player was LeBron, but like, even just looking back, this was LeBron before LeBron. I was like, yo, that was Dre, man. You had to be, Jason Vincent had to be at that spot. Otherwise, you're going to hear it from him. You know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy that, okay, my IQ was there. But go ahead. Go ahead, Sam.
IQ for me, I tell my kids after a certain, and once they get to high school, well, probably about 10th grade, I'll start telling them. 9th grade, 10th grade, I tell them, you gotta start thinking from the neck up. And I'll just say it. I won't explain it to them. I'll just say it at first. Like, you gotta start thinking from the neck up. What you talking about, coach? What you talking about? You gotta start thinking from the neck up. And then as time goes on, I'll kind of break down little things and show them parts of the game that have, to them, has nothing to do with the success of the game. But I'll point it out and break it down so they can see how this part of the game is connected to this part of the game, is connected to that part, which in turns helps you win. And just like I was saying earlier, something small as boxing out. Like, in their heads, boxing out is something that unathletic white boys do. And the example I can give them all the time is St. Mark's High School. I could not stay and play them in high school. Like, they were just a bunch of non-athletic white boys. But they would scream and scream
Everywhere.
and scream and box you out. And they would do what they knew their strength was. But that's IQs from the head up was what I'll tell them, from the neck up. And IQ is what coaches need and what they need to teach. I think one of the biggest disservices a coach can do is to try to take what players' strengths are and only use them. And you can tell from almost jump ball when a coach is teaching players how to play the game and when the coach is trying to use the players to win a game. But if they understand that if I develop these kids to be able to play the game the right way, I'm always going to give myself a shot. So I think that IQ starts from the teachers, the coaches, the mentors. It starts there. Because I didn't know I had a good basketball IQ until I started playing with people who didn't. Growing up, like, I'm the youngest of four. I got an older sister, but I got two older brothers. So growing up, I always played with them and then people their age. So I was always kind of doing whatever they told me to do. Go here, do that, bang, bang, bang. So just playing the game, I was fortunate enough to play with people that taught me how to play the right way. And as I got older, like, I always knew stuff, but then I started playing with guys where, like, guys were like, yo, they realize I'm athletic, or I can run and jump, or I know how to play basketball. Yo, come play with us, come play with us. High school, look, you say it's a game, I'm there. You say it's rec, I'm there. So I started going places and playing with people, and I'm like, this is way more frustrating than it should be. Like, we are making basketball a lot harder than it has to be. Like, I don't get why you just got the rebound, you dribbled all the way down court, you beat your man, dribbled it back out, looked me off, and shot the ball anyway. And it was like, oh, my bad. Like, no, that wasn't your bad. You suck. Like, why did you just make that hard, dude? Like, from the jump on that rebound, the ball should have been out your hands by now, bro. Like, all right, I get it. You know how to dribble the ball. Okay, great. But like Bivens said earlier, it's one ball and it's 10 people on the court. So I don't care that you can dribble. I care what you do with your dribble. I don't care that you can shoot. I care about your shot selection. Like, so I think one of the coaches' biggest mistakes is, oh, I got this kid, he's athletic. I want him to run and jump all the time. All right, he's athletic, but does he know how to use his athleticism? Does he know how to use his body, like Tamar was saying earlier? Like, he knew how to use his body to get open. Mar was even saying it earlier, like, greatest rebound in the world because I wasn't athletic. Like, if you say it to a kid right now, I think their like eyes will pop out the head. Like, what are you talking about? But like, those are the little things that coaches need to understand to get the best out of their kids. So I think coaches, I think it starts with coaches, because as a kid, most of them don't know that they have a great basketball IQ, and if they do, more times than not, they're probably like a Dre, so they kind of know it and you see it. But most kids just kind of play the game and then go by what you teach them. one of the first times I realized that I had a basketball IQ was up with Bam. You remember this name, Lucas Mayfield. So Lucas Mayfield, I was a freshman. I think he was a senior. He was a junior or senior when I was a freshman. I can't remember exactly what, but when I first got up with Bam, we would hoop. And of course, you hear about stuff. So we heard about, Lucas Mayfield. This guy, he pretty good. He tough, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. So we played throughout the time, and I'm starting to watch, and I'm like, okay, he all right, but kind of a jack. Like, he just shoots the ball a lot. I'm like, if I shot the ball 30 times, I should have 30. Like, that's just my thought. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, if I shoot it 30 times, I'm gonna get 32, dog. Like, why are y'all happy about this? But for me, it was just different. Like, everybody was like, oh, he's nice. I'm like, yeah, all right. But like, you shoot it 30 times, you should get 30 points. So it would be times where I would have to play with him. So I'm like, all right, I know this dude's gonna jack. So this is what I'm gonna do. And this was just what came to me. I said, I'm gonna get this guy some shots early. I'm gonna look for him. I'm gonna make him feel like he's the greatest shooter in the world. So when I be like, yo, get that thing back, he won't feel like I'm trying to take shots from him. Because I just gave you 3 shots, bro. Like, I just set you up for 3 wide open shots. Go ahead, take them, knock them down. And then on that next possession, like, yeah, give me that thing back so we can, kind of get somebody else involved.
Hey, why
like,
you
that
ain't
was
tell
the
me
first.
that?
Huh?
Why you ain't tell me that?
Which part?
That'll help with
That's
the
because
whole feeding.
come on, you can't handle that freedom. That's why.
No. I mean, like, I ran with him too. So like, I was understanding he had a 1-up on that situation. So
yeah, but you you actually understood, like, if I'm not open, I'm not gonna shoot over 3 people. He didn't understand that. So I had to think that for him. So I'm gonna go set a screen for him to get open. So when he catch it and shoot it, he's open. And then we can kind of go back around. I knew if I gave you the rock, for the most part, you're gonna do what you're supposed to do. If you double, you're gonna kick it out. If you're not, you're gonna look to score. That's simple. But that's the first time I really kind of learned. Say it again.
You're better than me because I'm kicking him off my team.
I should have. I was still a young boy though. I was out there running and jumping, trying to get dubs, man.
Hey man, shout out to Lucas Mayfield, man. He's a heck of a ball player.
Salute. He's not a bad basketball player. Just a jack. Yeah. But shout out to him right now though, because he's doing a whole lot with community and all that. Yeah. So salute. I don't want to feel like no hate, but definitely salute to him. Yeah. But that's the first time I kind of learned about basketball IQ as a player and realizing like, okay, thinking this game makes a difference. And just the last piece, one of the things that I love doing now, and like Dre was talking about, I told him a couple of weekends ago, I love doing now is seeing young kids playing against older ones. And we happen to run into the Laurel kids high school team. And they solid. They all 9th and 10th grade. Like, and they can do some stuff if they stick together. But as soon as they stepped on the floor, like, I already knew, like, are we about to beat these kids by like 20? But they didn't know that. So they come out and they hit like they first 4, maybe 5 shots.
Man, so we was down fingers early.
Yeah. Like they running, they come and they hitting threes. They probably hit like 3 out of their first 4 threes and got a couple layups. So they start popping off. So I'm like, oh, I like that. Respect. And then we just kind of turned the dial and said, okay, I'm just about to start talking trash to them. So I started popping off, and basically I talked them smooth out their game. So they went up probably like 15-2. We ended the half, we was up 37-34. So, and it all was from me getting in their head, just me talking trash. And they started to respond to me and stop playing with each other. And that all goes back to that basketball IQ, learning how to talk and play, learning how to utilize your teammates. And that lack of, that playground mentality is, we learned that coming up because, like I said, at 14, when I step on the floor, it's going to be a 30-year-old who literally does nothing but drink and go to work. And he's going to back me down from half court, get a layup, yell in my face, and tell me I'm not going to do nothing. So either I'm going to respond and get this bucket back, or I'm going to crumble. And learning how to deal with that and learning how to not get out of my game and continue to play and learn how to talk and play is something that you learn from playing on those playgrounds and playing those streets with those 30-year-olds. So that's part of basketball IQ that a lot of kids, again, now they don't get because they're only playing with cats their age. So long as you're the best in your group, you think you're the best. But until you run up into somebody that smoke your boots. So IQ, man, it's real. So I try to implement that in them early.
So I mean, Derek mentioned it a few minutes ago about playing from the neck up. I mean, I try to tell my kids, 90% mental, 10% physical, just to kind of instill the mindset of like really thinking through the game. I guess I kind of understood that I, started to develop a basketball IQ when I was younger, probably. Derek, I would say, I don't know, we probably was hitting like maybe 9th, 10th grade, and then like our older brothers, older people that we kind of looked up to started asking us to play with them in tournaments. And we were like two of the only ones kind of around our age group that were asked by the older siblings. So it's kind of like from that moment, I kind of like started thinking like, all right, like they must see on some level that I can think the game, at their level, at their speed, to be going out of town, playing here, playing there, whatever, be on the court with them. So I kind of started to look more into the game then. But I've always played the basketball game basically with two mindsets, like comfort and discomfort. And I always wanted to be comfortable on the court, and I wanted, like Dre said earlier, like to connect to what he was saying earlier, like I want to make everybody that's on my team comfortable. So Derek and Dre, like these guys are, I mean, out the womb, like floor generals. Like they're the type of guys that when you're on the court with them, like you automatically feel comfortable when they're on the court. Whether they have the ball, whether they're scoring, whether they're rebounding, or whether they're not touching the ball, like just the fact that they're on the court with you, there's a comfort because you have somebody that understands the game and can play at a high level mentally.
Nah, I'd be scared with Dre, man, because if I don't make that spot, yo, it's a wrap, man.
Yo, cause he ain't long. For real. I'm in your behind. Even now. Ain't nothing changed.
I'll say this and I'll get right back. So everybody on here, Dom, not sure if you know, but we all know one of the top basketball players that's ever come from North Delaware, Brian Polk. So anybody knows when you're on the court with Brian Polk, like Polk is the general, like he directs, he instructs, like, if you want to have a smooth game, don't oppose anything that Polk says. Like if he gives you instruction, just do it. And like, man, Polk knows the game. Like I started hanging out with him a lot after high school and in my years of college. And man, Polk knows that game. But one time in the Seafood League with Jeff down in the Seafood League, and Dre, y'all had a team in there, and oh my God, y'all had game. It was a Monstars. Basically, like
definitely the Monstars.
It was Dre, Gang, Shake. It was Willis. It was unfair. It was unfair.
Oh God,
yo, it was ridiculous.
That sounds
yes, Willis, bro. So,
but I ran a on that team. That's what was crazy.
Yo, it was out
LeBron.
But it was what was crazy in this I was in high school, so from this moment I kind of put Dre on a whole different like mindset. But like for as much as I respect Polk on the court, like Polk was like kind of deferring to Dre, and like just as everybody else on the team was, like he was whatever Dre was, was kind of instructing was kind of going, but it was like everybody on the team kind of like understood, like, okay, he knows what's going on. Let's rock out, bull, and that team was out of control. But anyway, I play the basketball game of comforts. Like my mindset is to make myself everybody's comfortable, but my defenders, like I want to make you uncomfortable. That's even when I'm on offense and you're guarding me, and that's even when I'm on defense and I'm guarding you. That to me, if you can learn, because everybody's comforts and discomforts are different. So if you can learn that about your player as an opposing player or as a coach, I feel like you have an advantage. If you can figure out a way, if I can figure out a way to make Taman uncomfortable. I know Tamai averages 25 a game, 16 rebounds. We got played him for 32 minutes.
Where was this at? I want to go in that universe.
Hey man, just live in it, baby. Live in it, baby.
All right, hey, 25 and 16 all day. That's what I'm giving you.
So like, if I know we got to play him for 32 minutes, I'm like, how in 32 minutes can I make him uncomfortable? And Jay was talking about earlier about watching film, and Derek's talking about watching film and stuff like that. Like, I watch film with these kids, and I'm like, you know what? This kid loves going right. But you know what? Every time he goes right, he doesn't have a pull-up. He's either shooting a three or he's going all the way to the basket. Or, you know, when he goes left, he only pull up off his left because right-handed shooters, it's hard for you to pull up off your right if you're right-handed shooter. So I would take time out my practice and break down, like, what I just told you guys to my players. Yo, listen, if I got a ball in my left hand, I can put it in my left, I can shoot with my left. If it's in my right, I'm a right-handed shooter, so it's going to be hard for me to pull up off my right and shoot my right. Now, me personally, I started to work on both ways because I didn't want nobody like they could make me uncomfortable. So I started working on, you know what, I'm going to pull up on my right, pull up on my left. Shout out to my man, Kobe Bryant, man. He was like an ace on that. But I started thinking like he does, wondering why he's unstoppable. And it was stuff like that. But anyway, that's the mindset that I have when I'm coaching my players. That's the IQ that I want. How can you be comfortable on the court, and how can you always make your opponent uncomfortable? And that list, it changes by the player, it changes by the game, it changes by the team. And when I start to think the game like that, I put my IQ at an all-time value, and that's what I teach my kids. I love to play with guys that think that way too. Like Dom, you probably don't know. Biv may not know. Tamai, you might know, but Dre, Derek, y'all remember Tone Washam?
Heck yeah.
So he's Tone is 6'5", 6'6", probably like at this time he was 6'5", 6'6", and probably like 220, 230. And we were playing against him in this tournament outside, and Tone had like 60 on us. But we won. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And like he legitimately had 60 points. It took us like 5 or 6 overtimes, but like we were like he essentially has no flaws in his game, but we were trying to find something to make him uncomfortable because we could not stop him. Like, so we eventually resorted to just calling him Superstar, and it just so happened that he was mentally weaker, I guess so to say, and it got to him. Like every time the ref gave him a foul, we're like, Superstar, 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 stop calling me that, stop calling me that. And he got frustrated. He would come down and score another 3 on us, but he would take the rest of his teammates out of the game. So it was kind of like 5-on-1. And we were, double teaming and triple teaming and quadruple teaming. And we eventually came out with like a 1 or 2 point win, but we knew we could do nothing with him. I mean, this was an outside double rim, 11-foot courts, and I mean, it was out of control what he was doing, but our mindset was like, we got to find a way to make this guy comfortable. Like I think he was overseas in Israel, making 15, 20 grand a month. He was, one of the top parts of his game or parts of his career. And that's just my mindset, man. I love playing with guys who have that mindset, and that's what I try to tell my players, man. Just trying to make your opponent uncomfortable.
He was actually at that tournament we was at the other week.
Oh, was he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the reasons why I pitched this topic to my comrades is that this is more so geared towards the younger generation, male and female basketball players listening. And I know in a lot of sense, when a lot of guys see the guys that's dunking, they don't think that they don't have a shot, or they see the guys that may have 10 times the talent or the IQ, but don't know that they can put in work. Just summarizing, each one of you guys is up in a sense, and just note some things down. Being a floor general is key as far as just being a complete player. Knowing your basketball. This generation has an upper hand, in my opinion, to us in the past, to where they do have access to film, and they do have access to be a major student of the game. They have YouTube at their disposal to look back at all of the greats and all of the legends. And if you're actually a student of something, you're understanding the nuances of what made them great and can use that. I mean, if I had YouTube, I know I would have studied Melo to figure out that step back game because I'd have did that all day. But that's neither here nor there. Um, Having good work ethic. One of the things that Dre was saying was that even though he was more athletic, he knew that he outworked everybody. And just as a living testament to somebody who's seen it, I mean, as a sophomore, getting 17 rebounds in the championship game and being a somebody who worked hard, that was a prime example of that. And I mean, that is something that you can instill in yourself. You know what I mean? If you got to go get it, you can go get it. Um, One of the things that you guys were saying as well is knowing how to handle adversity. Um, just like piggybacking off what Mar was saying about the one guy calling him superstar. I mean, that was adversity. Even though he was still knocking down the tray balls, it was still in his head where like he wasn't getting people involved. I think that when a lot of guys see that things don't work right away, they stop and they don't push themselves. And I think that if they even the guys that are less talented would push themselves beyond their max, they would get a lot out of what they're putting in, like Derek said. Playing against better competition as well. Dre said it best as far as getting out there and venturing out there. I know, and I can only attest for myself. Um, I know me and my good friend CJ, we was everywhere through our high school days hooping and Outward Bound as well. That's when I seen the scary likes of Derek Savage his freshman year. Goodness gracious, yo. Out man. First short story, real quick. Okay. I'm real close to his brother, his older brother L, right? And L, I know L could hoop, so you know what I mean. We ready to rock. He was like my little brother. He on our team, so I was like, all right. I'm like, but he your little brother, so he gonna be all right. Man, I seen this kid jump. I said, oh Lord, yo, y'all need to talk to y'all parents right now and see what is happening. Why this man? But that's neither here nor there. Um, but playing against better competition, I think, and having that dog mindset of just going at whoever and understanding that it's basketball at its finest and that's at its purest. I think that's something that's lacking that the young kids need to understand. Um, but to sum everything up, I think that what got you guys to y'all level, and I'm saying from having the IQ of Coach Bivens to being a Hall of Famer at Dell State to being a Hall of Famer at Goldie to being a head coach is the mindset, right? Because I mean, in Dre's story, yeah, he had his older brother Gank that was a physical specimen and everything. So he had a lot to live up to. But he had that mindset of working hard and it got him to where he was or where he is. Even with Derek, him having the athletic ability, but just playing with his brothers and just seeing the mindset of it changing. And he could see it change even when I'm playing against people that didn't have higher IQs. And it was like, okay, I'm not playing with y'all no more. I need to play against better talent because I'm trying to get somewhere. You know what I mean? And Lamar saying the same thing, him going with him and his brothers and whatnot and playing in tournaments, having that mindset of pushing yourself to boundaries that you don't even see and just going out there on what you would say faith without works is dead. That's what it says in the Bible, right?
Sure.
And even if you're looking at the Hebrew context about faith, it's talking about the actual putting work in and seeing it come to fruition. And a lot of these kids, whether they're athletic or even I have more IQ. I would say me myself, I was never athletic, bro. I was highly IQ when it came to basketball. Um, even if you just have the work ethic and put it forth and keep it going and always have it on. If this is what you want, man, like the sky's the limit. And I mean, I see a lot of talent across I mean, me living in Delaware, I see a lot of talent. And sometimes I see talent wasted. And it's like, I wish that I had some of your talent along with my mindset, because then maybe I would have went a little bit further. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
think that if we just come together, like I love what each and every one of you guys is doing for the youth, you know what I mean? And instilling in them. what you guys have as far as experience, because to me, you guys are cream of the crop when we're talking about, I guess, lower basketball, if Don would say it. But I say all of Delaware, daggone it. We can have a discussion about that later on a different topic, but nonetheless, I mean, I love what you guys are doing for the youth, man, and I just how can I help me out, Dami Lama?
Well, I was gonna say, listen, he wrapping it up. One thing I wanted to say before we wrap it up is when we think about the IQ, and this is for the younger generation, I think about when Taman said about just going back and being students of the game. I think about the San Antonio Spurs when I think about IQ versus the athleticism, and how a lot of people say like Tim Duncan. To me, I didn't like watching it because it wasn't flashy, right? But everybody on that team had high IQs. Every single last one of them had high IQs, and they outworked everybody else to the point where they got 5 championships. They should have 6, but I mean they have 5 championships because they all knew the game. They all, yeah, I mean, just knew the game of basketball. And then I think about like even now, I think about Golden State, and I think about,
oh man,
hey, listen, I'm not even gonna make. I'm not.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
But I think about Golden State, right?
I'm gonna wrap it up. All right, you go ahead and finish.
But the thing about KD when he was with Russ, right? And we think about his game before when he was with Russ and he was with OKC, and then we think about the game he played when he was with Golden State. His IQ level to me went to a different level playing with those players because they all thought the game differently. I think KD was he was super athletic, but all of those players didn't rely on athleticism. They relied on IQ.
just imagine if he had played with Chris Paul.
Hey, listen.
Nah, I'm trying to get a reaction out of him.
It's crazy that you brought that thing up because I was thinking about something today. But anyway, Steph still
no. I see.
Anyway,
not IQ wise, but go ahead.
Hey, anyway, my man got 2 championships. He got a championship without Chris Paul. Before Chris Paul, without KD.
We're not going there.
Move on.
Anyway. But like they all thought the game. And it goes back to when y'all talking about just playing with better competition or playing with people who actually think the game over people who actually have athleticism or depend on or rely on their athleticism more than they do their game. There are a lot of athletic people out there. There are a lot of people who can jump out of the gym or who can run faster than a lot of other people, but they don't think the game. They don't think the game. They don't think 2 steps ahead of the game, like Dre said. They don't think 2 steps ahead of the game like LeBron do. They don't put in all the work that Kobe does. And I think that like Derek Jones, the Bull just won the slam dunk contest. He's in the NBA strictly off of his athleticism. But if he had some kind of crazy IQ to go along with his athleticism, he would be crazy good. Yeah, I mean, in the NBA. I'm not saying he's not good now, but I'm just thinking about players who just solely rely on their athleticism. They become like specialists. But when you just think the game and have an IQ for the game, you can be like the guy. I mean, a franchise player because you know where everybody should be. So that's my 2 cents on like athleticism versus the IQ and how it translates to like outside of the court or off the court. If you can think anything, if you can think it, then the athleticism or the production to follow. You have to think it before you can actually see it produce. So you have to actually have some kind of IQ before you even can start putting things together.
And don't be a jack.
And don't be a jack, like my man Savage was saying. Like I swear on everything. I'm thinking about right now, right? I got the Sixers game on right now. I'm like, man, there's no way that all these players should be getting smacked by some of the players that they're getting smacked by. But it's the IQ. Their IQ ain't like that.
Why do you think we lost all those Olympics?
IQ.
Yep.
That's it.
You need to go to therapy. Maybe help. It might help. It might help Ben Simmons. So I mean, no.
Yeah, it helped Ben Simmons because his IQ. Because without Ben Simmons' IQ,
he has a high
I
IQ. He just needs to shoot.
And he's athletic too, but he thinks the game before he thinks the game, but he don't shoot jumpers. That's just not, you know what I mean? But anyway.
But final thoughts from everyone. We can start with our co-host / guest for the day, Biv.
I just want to thank the three gentlemen for coming on, Lamar, Dre, Sav. Just want to thank everybody for their time coming on and enjoying tonight with us. Hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yes, sir.
Man, I enjoy myself, man. It ain't. It's always good to talk basketball, but the main thing is helping whoever we can help with the knowledge that we gain. Because my goal is to see these kids get further than we did. So that's kind of my perspective on helping the youth. And that's pretty much what I push any youth to do and to be is better than what we were.
Absolutely agree. Definitely appreciate y'all having me on here. This definitely enjoyed myself talking basketball all day. As far as IQ and athleticism, just IQ always gives you the opportunity to be on the floor, and IQ always gives you the opportunity to win. I like to tell kids, you dress with your IQ. You can't get on the floor without your uniform. You can't get on the floor without your IQ. Your athleticism is an accessory. That's your headband. That's your wristband. That's your whatever jewelry you got. Like that's an accessory. That can't be your foundation. But as long as you build your IQ, you always give yourself an opportunity to be successful in the game of basketball. So that's one of the things I push or try to push to the youth.
I mentioned earlier, I fell in love with the game of basketball just because of its relation to everyday life. And for one of the main topics to be IQ, man, like I know we all can attest to how important it is to really be able to like think through life, man, and think about what the world is today and whether people agree or don't agree with leadership and the racial injustice and all that kind of stuff, man. Like it's all about really just knowing your history and knowing information, understanding and learning things for yourself and effectively applying it, you know what I mean, to the certain areas that are necessary. As far as the podcast, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. Dom asked me like a month ago and I was like, August 3rd, they'll probably have another type of show I won't be on. But
you trying to be organized, good brother.
But sure enough, man, that's definitely a good look, man, on the podcast behalf, man, to be planning that far out ahead, man. And then someone hit me up and was like, yo, you good? You know what I mean? Just checking in. So that's always a good look, man. And Dre, man, I just you know, I appreciate you being on here, man. It's unfortunately, since you said you love LeBron, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be your last time being invited on this show, man.
As soon as he said it, I said, listen, I said, scratch him off now.
No, that's all dumb. I'm not a LeBron hater at all, bro.
My boy Don was
be the best, man. You gotta learn from the best, man. He ain't the only one I learn from.
Man. Somebody mute his mic. Somebody mute his mic, please.
My boy Don was talking about the Spurs and they was still throwing shots at LeBron. I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, they got 5. They should have 6. I'm like, my man, let my man. Dre, so you said that earlier. Dre, when you said that earlier, I'm like, oh man, that's the last time I'm gonna see Dre. Let me get this.
I seen him cringe.
Let me get this screenshot picture so I know he was on here.
I seen him cringe like, oh.
Yeah. Hey man,
I respect Brian. I respect me.
That should cover up.
All right, let me say my final thought before he gets on this Brian hating spill. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming on. I mean, and from playing with so I know I played with Dom, so this is not a shot at Dom. Okay. I know I played with Dom. I don't really remember it, but I played with him. It was one time. But the other four I played with multiple times, and even from fifth grade all-star, middle school to Upward Bound to Chandler Heights, and you and both your brothers backing me down, and playing with Lamar in my trying to get back days, and him draining the tray ball, as his wife would say, from Lamar range. Um, each one of these guys have taught me a lot as far as his basketball IQ is concerned. So I respect their opinion, and I believe as though that the opinion that they have and the knowledge that they have can be a tool that needs to be used by these youth to grow on their shoulders and see where they've been, so that way they can go further. And that's the mission, is really to help to make aware of the things that can happen. I mean, you got guys that are sitting in front of you that have, Hall of Fame and coach. Those aren't just titles. You know what I mean? Those are things that are earned. You know what I mean? It even if you're a guy that quote unquote hasn't played anything in a sense, if you know the game, you can teach the game. You know what I mean? And if you're a great motivator, I've never seen Mike Krzyzewski take a shot, but this is a Duke reference. This is how deep I'm going. Because God knows I hate Duke. But nonetheless, Mike Krzyzewski, I've never seen him hoop a day in my life, but he's getting the most out of these players, especially when he paid Zion. But he's getting the most out of these players. So
there it is. There it is.
Oh man.
Allegedly, Coach K.
Allegedly.
Coach K.
Allegedly. It's
Ew.
allegedly.
Ew.
But nonetheless, just really pushing for the youth to be better than what, I'm not going to say we, but they were.
So, listen to all y'all, man. I gained a lot of basketball wisdom and knowledge just listening to y'all. And one of the things that I heard all y'all say is mental, right? Even when from being super athletic in high school to going to college and saying, man, listen, I gotta up my game, my athleticism even more. You know what I mean? I gotta think the game even more. One of the things I thought about or popped in my head is the body can only go as far as the mind tells it. And just to put a cap on just what mental or IQ versus athleticism, you can be born with great athleticism, but unless you tell yourself that you're good, unless you mentally tell yourself I'm better than this person, unless you mentally prepare yourself to be better than the next person, you will just rely on just that, right? Just your athleticism. You won't do great things. So my final thought is the body can only go as far as your mind tells it to go. So the head is the mentality of anything or anything about being successful in life. You have to master and conquer the mental aspect of it before you can do anything else. So that's my final thought. Just wrapping it up. Tim, you had something else?
Nah, I was Dalai Lama saves the day.
Listen, that's all them, man. That's all y'all, man. I love listening to all y'all. Wrapping it up. Y'all know the house cleaning stuff. Make sure y'all follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And also make sure y'all check us out on Spotify. If y'all have any shows that y'all would like for us to do, make sure y'all drop the comments. And if y'all want to get some basketball knowledge from these savants right here, man, check them out, man, on their Facebook page.
Oh, that's a SAT word. What was that word again?
Yeah, that was an ESPN word right there.
Yeah, he took that one out the bag. How you? Let me write that one down.
That was a good pull.
He was watching Stephen A. this morning.
I'm gonna say my man Stephen A. My man Stephen A.
I like that word.
Yes, sir.
He said savant.
Yeah, man, they savants out here, man.
Right.
Listen, when you do a show with IQ versus athleticism, man, you got to go in your bag.
Yeah.
I should have listened to T.I. today to get some big words.
There.
But yeah, man, listen, I love having y'all on the show. Make sure y'all tell a friend, share, like, follow. But until next time, man, y'all know how we do. Speak on it, y'all.